This is Rhythm and Waves, a podcast created to amplify the purpose, passion, and positivity of music in people's lives, community, and the world.
What's going on? I'm Danny.
And I'm Mal.
And this is Rhythm and Waves.
Woo!
We've had a comical start to this morning.
Oh, technical difficulties. Oh boy.
Love it.
It's always me too.
No, not always, Mal. Not always. I have my days.
Oh boy. Well, welcome everybody. Thank you for joining us. Today we have a really good friend of ours named Greg. He is the owner of the Niagara Conservatory of Music here in the Niagara region. It's in St. Catharines, and he has the biggest heart of anybody that I've ever met, I think. He's fantastic. So we're very excited to introduce him to everybody listening.
And he's been waiting patiently. So
Yes,
here we go. Here we go. We'll introduce him. Oh, he got tired of waiting for us.
Great.
There he is. Yes. Yes.
Hello again.
Hey, man. What's going on?
Not too much, not too much. Everything here in this very strange world we're living in.
Right. Heck yeah. We were just having a laugh because we had some, we left you and then we had some technical difficulties. And now here we are.
Holding my iPad. It's going to get wobbly.
Oh, my God. So as Mel said, this is our good friend, Greg, owner of the Niagara Conservatory of Music in St. Catharines, Niagara Conservatory of Music in St. Catharines, and a man of many hats. Pun intended today, Greg? Man of many hats, wearing the hat.
You don't want to see me take this hat off, man. It's like ugly.
So as we dive into this, how are you and how have you been keeping energized and motivated during this weird time of COVID-19?
Yeah. So, first off, thanks again for having me on.
Of course.
And doing good. Yeah, keeping busy for sure. Mostly with 3 little ones under the age of 8 at home. As Mel knows, they're not going back to school, so they're at home 24/7, and we're trying to obviously keep them safe and not taking them places. So we're literally at home 24/7. So they've been first and foremost probably keeping me the most busy, with my wife continuing to work, full time. And then secondly, we're trying to run our business online, which has been going great, but it's taken up quite a bit of time and energy as well. So trying to find that healthy balance between the two, and so far it seems like it's working. Yeah.
Love it. And we are gonna get more to like online lessons and things like that, and chat more about that as we get through this, because I think that's a super interesting conversation, especially right now, and in the age of technology that we're living in. But yeah, love it. Thanks for sharing all that.
Yeah.
Love it.
Oh, my questions just closed on me. More technical difficulties. We wanted to start or kind of start by asking a little bit about just your musical background too, which is something that I've never even talked to you about before. And just kind of like what put you on the path to deciding that you wanted to teach music and own a music school and all that jazz.
Yeah, for sure. So I guess this probably goes way back to my childhood. So my dad was a musician. He was in a polka band, coming from the traditional Polish family here.
Cool.
And he was a guitar player and singer. So music was always, pretty big in our household. He was always playing his guitar, and we'd go and to the Polish hall and watch his band play and stuff, right? So he decided to get myself and my sister into music at a pretty young age. I think we're probably around 6 or 7 years old, and I wanted to follow in my dad's footsteps and take up the guitar. And the owner there at the time, who all these years later had ended up purchasing the business from, he had said, "No, you're too young for guitar. Your hands are too small. You're gonna have to go with something else until you get a little bit bigger." So again, coming from the traditional Polish family, my parents were like, "Okay, accordion it is."
Yeah.
So there's my sister and I doing the accordion for a couple of years until I was old enough, according to the owner at the time, to do the guitar, and then I switched over to the guitar, and my sister stuck with the accordion. So grew up taking guitar lessons, and once we were probably around grade 11 or so, had the opportunity to do some student teaching at the conservatory. So something that we offer still today to our senior level high school, university students. We have like a teacher's training program, and essentially allows them to do some teaching, while they're in school, kind of thing, a little bit of a part-time job, so to speak. And so I started teaching there, continued teaching throughout university. I went to Brock for business. And after graduating, I had the opportunity to purchase the business from the previous owners. So I want to say it's probably been close to 20 years, maybe 17, 18 years or so, since I've owned it. So there's a little bit of a history there. Yeah.
Nice.
Man, that's incredible. Here I thought I knew like most of the things that there were to know about you, and just learning all these new things. I love it.
I didn't know you played the accordion. That is fun.
Yeah.
I don't want to say play.
You have played.
At one point I did, but I did buy a little toy accordion for the kids, and I did tinker around on it a little bit.
That's cool.
That's awesome. Those things are fun.
We hadn't originally planned on asking this question, but I'm interested to know, do you see any, now looking back on it, do you see value in that gentleman telling you to learn the accordion first before you like graduated to that like guitar, or like we're old enough to be at that level and point to play guitar? Do you see value in like that traditional way that he kind of pushed you before you took another step?
Yeah, absolutely. So I mean, I can attest to being in the same situation with parents today. Myself will have that 4 or 5 year old that so desperately wants to do the guitar or the violin, and just from our experience, we know that if we throw a guitar in that 4 or 5 year old's hand and try to teach them formally, so to speak, they're going to struggle. They're going to physically struggle with it, which in turn is going to mean that they're not going to be enjoying themselves, which will probably put them off from wanting to do it. So we'll say to parents, start off on the piano. We don't say the accordion these days, but we'll say on the piano or what have you, and a lot more forgiving on those little fingers. They're going to be able to get the notes to sound, which is going to be very encouraging for them. We'll wait a couple years, and in a couple years, if they still want to do guitar, they're going to be able to read their notes, they'll understand all the different note values, and they can apply that, that theory knowledge to this new instrument. So it's like they're almost halfway there. And then all they need to do is to focus on where these notes are located on this new instrument, but the theory they can, bring over with them, kind of thing. So yeah, we definitely take that similar approach today because we want kids, successful with it for sure.
I love that. Yeah. It is. Yeah. I mean, I think it's interesting because I know, Mal, you're a teacher. I've done the teaching thing and do the teaching thing. And so I can definitely empathize, Greg, and understand in terms of, having a vocalist wanting to come and work on their vocals. And that's cool. But I see a lot of practicality in knowing how to use the instrument beyond just like the say simplicity in lots of ways of like learning to sing the melody of your favorite pop song, which is fun. That's super, super cool. I do that with people and I love that, but it's super, super important to know what's going on in here and how to use it, especially if you want to do it all the time, know how to do it properly so that, after 2 gigs, you're not blowing yourself out and done. Because then there's just no longevity there. And you become like an Adele where you sound great, but so far after the fact, you realize, oh my gosh, I can't sing anymore, because though I sound great, I'm actually not doing this properly. And I need to take some time off and a hiatus to actually learn those traditional fundamental pieces of music that make me that much stronger through what I already do well. So it's really interesting. Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah.
I know.
Can I ask something?
Yeah. Go for it.
Wait.
Sorry.
Just about the singing. I mean, I grew up in singing lessons from, I don't know, age 10 maybe, and singing. And then in university, I was still taking singing lessons. And then now when I have this job as a music therapist, I'm singing almost like all day, every day. And I have to say, even though I had those fundamentals, I still was finding that I was burning out. So that's somebody who like, you know, grew up learning the technique and all of that. And I was still just like singing constantly, singing all day at work. And then I was going and, you know, doing some things after work too. And it was just getting like so much. So, but since I grew up doing it, I knew the signs early, and I was able to kind of like to slow down and tell the people I was working with, like, you know, I'm singing too much. I need to cut back, and or my voice is gonna really suffer here. So I was able to catch it early. But even being trained like that, you know, you could still get to a point where it's like dangerous.
That's interesting. That's crazy. Yeah, that's great that that you can, you know, like you said, you can pick up on those signs and stuff, because I mean, your voice is, you know, something that obviously, you know, is of huge value to you for, you know, for not just for professional reasons, right? So
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, love it. Greg, can I ask, and we're going to get to more of Music Gives Niagara and the movement that you've created in a bit, but we know you, Mal and myself, and the community at large know you as not only this music school owner, but this over-the-top caring person that is just so supportive of young musicians using their music in positive, purposeful ways. And we see that through so much of the great work that you do at the school and in the community. And you've shared a bunch of stories already with regards to like how you kind of grew into where you're at now. But like, was there a moment or an experience that inspired this like givingness through music in you?
Oh gosh. Okay. So I would say like as far as like what turned me on to you know, to music at a young age, like if there was like, you know, music's a very interesting thing because everybody loves music. Like you never come across nobody that, you know, says I don't like music, I don't like listening to music or whatever, right? But growing up, you know, yeah, for sure. So growing up, you know, I was listening to, you know, what everyone else was listening to, right? And it was kind of like I would say I probably didn't find myself until high school or just before high school. And I think what really got me into music was the whole 90s alt rock, you know, grunge era. You know, it was something new, it was something different, it was something exciting at the time. And I think that really got me into music just in general. Up to that point, you know, I think I'd say I was probably that kid that, you know, whose parents were kind of, you know, forcing them to do the lessons, and, you know, but once the 90s all rock scene hit, I kind of just found my passion in music and in the guitar, and in more specifically in the guitar. And I think that kind of, you know, created this path for me. And music turned into something that I wanted to kind of potentially pursue. And so then I got into the teaching side of it. You know, I got into the business side of it as well, and had this wonderful opportunity to have the previous owners work with me for a few years and help me kind of take on this, you know, this new role. And it really just helped with the transition with everything. And as far as the givingness part of it, I think when we started Music Gives Movement. Honestly, it was close to 5 years ago now.
Yeah.
So the teaching was great. Everything at the studio was great, but it just felt like there was something missing. It felt like I could do more. We had seen a number of kids come through the conservatory who could no longer afford to do the lessons, and had to put a stop to the lessons because of that. And so essentially, kind of got the wheels kind of going in the head a little bit, and decided to create this Music Gives movement, which essentially would allow these kids to continue to pursue music if finances were a factor, right? So so I hope that answered your question. Sorry, I tend to ramble sometimes.
No, that's incredible. There's two things that I really loved there throughout was like this sense of like identity. So like in high school and 90s alt rock, you found like discovered like an identity within it, which I think is like so true to so many people identifying with artists or like finding themselves in other people's songs and like learning about their own identity through somebody else's experience and through like the culture of a genre or an artist or music in general. It's like discovering your identity through that, which I think is a super powerful idea that lots of people find themselves in. And then the piece around, money is a barrier so often to anything. And in this case, music. And I love that you are somebody that is looking for ways to break those barriers. And music, as we know, it's breaking this barrier right now of us not being able to be in the same room, combined with technology. But music has always been a great way to break barriers and to be able to literally break barriers through music, to give back to music growing forward is just like the coolest thing. The best thing. The coolest thing. Oh, love it. Thank you, Greg. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Danny, you've been a big supporter with our Music Gives program over the years as well, so thank you.
Well, it's my pleasure. I love what you do, and I've learned a lot of things specifically in like the last 5 years, and it's become very important to me to work hard to align with like minds in whatever ways that looks possible. Even, we've talked about this on the podcast a few times. When me and Mal started sitting down, it started as a conversation of me looking to pursue music therapy. For me, that's kind of changed. I've always known that I want to like work in music therapy in some way. And so then it became like, how can this musician guy who loves using music in positive ways work with a genius like Mallory to build this podcast around, using music in purposeful, passionate, and positive ways. And we just found that we aligned and I love working with you, Greg. So it's a no-brainer for me anyways.
Likewise, thank you.
I love it. We got a big, super like intricate question for you now. Mal, do you want to take it or?
Yes, I will take
it. Do it.
I want to be part of this bromance happening.
Oh my God, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So during the times right now with COVID-19 and everything happening, a lot of us are isolated and feeling unsure about the future. And we know that there are a lot of music lessons being done online via Zoom and being kind of facilitated in non-traditional ways. So our question to you is, why do you think it's important to continue to create the musical online learning experience for our kids, and what sort of positive impact do you think that creates in a kid's life during times like this?
Yeah. Okay. So this COVID-19 certainly has forced a lot of businesses to have to start thinking outside of the box, ourselves included for sure. And so when we were forced closed mid-March, there was a lot of uncertainty at the time as to when things would get back to normal. So we kind of took a couple of weeks off, waiting to see, what was going to happen in this strange world. And the signs were showing at that time that this is something that we're probably going to be dealing with for more of the long term, and had made steps to offer our programs online, which we've been doing for, I want to say, about 6 weeks now or so. And it's a very interesting thing because for these kids, they've had everything taken away from them, right? They've had their schooling taken away from them, their social life taken away from them. And music, had we not taken the steps into offering these lessons online, music would have been another thing that had been taken away from them with regards to music lessons, not music in general. But so we felt it was really important to be able to give these kids the opportunity to continue something that most of them are extremely passionate about, rather than sitting idle and waiting for all this to blow over, kind of thing. And it's been great. I think we're very fortunate to be able to offer our service and our product in a way that's pretty close to what they would be experiencing in-house at the studio. It's very fortunate in that regard, as opposed to other kinds of extracurricular activities who can't really run an online thing, like they normally would, right? So it's been going extremely well. The kids think it's really cool. I think they enjoy seeing somebody other than their mom and dad or brother, sister. And it's allowed us to have a lot of fun with it. We just finished working on a project that we're going to be sharing, I think, probably this weekend on our social media, and I'm involved a number of our vocal students, doing one of those fun, videos.
Awesome.
And then the kids had, colored some pictures of rainbows and thanking, frontline workers, what have you. And so we're just finishing the project. So, it's allowed us to kind of think outside the box and try to do some different things. Going forward, I think it's going to be a great thing in the sense that, we can continue to offer online lessons, or, for that student that missed a lesson that, is having a hard time coming to the studio to make it up, okay, let's do it online, kind of thing, right? So I think that's going to be great. As far as for the kids, again, I think it's just really important for them to be able to continue, their progression. If we sat idle and did nothing for 3, 4, 5, 6 months, where are we going to be, 6 months from now when they're able to resume in-house lessons? How much would we have backtracked, kind of thing, right? So this is certainly allowing the students to continue, their progress. And like I said, most of them are doing it because they absolutely love it, and whether or not they do it as a career one day, they're it's certainly an important thing in their life right now. So let's try to make sure that they can continue doing something that they love, and we'll look forward to seeing them face to face when the time's right.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, I think there's something to be said too for like just adding some structure, some back into their to their world. Yeah. I know, like, my daughter takes lessons at the conservatory, and she was still practicing at home, but it was getting, it was the same songs because we weren't moving forward. And so then we signed up for the lessons, and she so looks forward to them every week. She's just like, yes, piano tonight, yes. And I'm like, yeah. And I think it's just like knowing that that's happening, like keeping the structure, because kids are used to a structured life. And even with the online learning that schools are offering, it's a lot different. Like it's me being like, well, it's 9:30. I guess we should start school. It's not as structured. So I think that's really helpful for them. Have something scheduled every week, and
for sure.
And I sorry. Yeah, go for it, Greg. No, go for it.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think the structure is extremely important. And as Mel said, a lot of that's been taken away from the kids. So we're happy. We're happy to be in a position to allow them to continue doing this, for sure. Go ahead, Danny. Yeah.
I was just gonna say, I think it's so cool because, like, for maybe the first time ever, like adults and kids are on the same page in terms of like, how are we doing any of this?
Yeah.
How do we do this effectively? Can we do this? Is this going to work? I don't know. Nobody knows, and everybody's kind of navigating it together. And I think it's kind of cool as like a business owner or a teacher, because I think the only thing that you can do is like call out the weirdness, call out like this isn't what we typically do, but we're going to roll with it because that's just what we do. That's, you know, that's what this time calls for, and that's what we're going to do. And I think it's not unlike anything else. The energy, whether it be negative or positive, that you bring into anything new is always going to shape what it becomes or how successful it is. So I think it's just cool that you and other businesses as well are embracing online as if like, you know, it's just what we're going to do because we believe in why we do what we do. And this whole thing is not going to stop us learning.
Yeah.
It's cool.
Yeah. Sure, man. You can set it better. Yeah.
So cool. Love it. With that and kind of coming back to all that you do in the community, the Music Gives movement, you said 5 years ago. And we'd love to just be able to know more and give you the space to kind of like tell people what it is that you do through Music Gives Niagara for the community, in the community, with the community.
Yeah. Yeah. So as I mentioned, we started the program around 5 years ago, and it was the intent then and still now was to be able to provide music lessons to less privileged youth in and across the Niagara area. And it stemmed from the work that we continued to do and at the time had done with an organization called Pro Kids, which essentially provide funding for extracurricular activities for up to $100 a year is what they do.
Cool.
And so they would, you know, send us $100 for a child to be able to do, you know, in our case, say 5 weeks of music lessons. And we had noticed that, you know, after the 5 weeks ran out, now all of a sudden the family is on the hook for paying for these lessons. They would, you know, 99% of the time, you know, quit their child because they couldn't afford it, which is the reason why they were seeking the funding in the first place. So, you know, for that child that, you know, had done it but didn't seem too crazy about it, you know, you didn't feel too bad, but for the child that took to it really well and was practicing and showing great signs of wanting to potentially do it for more of the long term, and then suddenly getting it ripped away from them, that kind of pulled on the heartstrings a little bit, so it was years of seeing the same thing, kind of over and over, and that pretty much I would say it was after I had my oldest child, Gabriel, getting him involved in a number of extracurriculars. I thought to myself, what if I couldn't sign him back up for swimming or for soccer or something that he loved? How difficult would that be, as a parent? And so that kind of again got the wheels going a little bit, and pretty much started the Music Gives movement. And a way to ensure that we'd have funding in place for these kids, the conservatory would donate a music lesson with every registration that we received. So, when Mallory signed Lily for lessons, for example, we donated a lesson into the program. So, with that said, there's about 300 students that sign up with us annually. So, our thing was, we were going to donate again a lesson for every new registration, which would amount to about $7,000 worth of lessons a year. Last year, I think we donated $15,000 worth of lessons because we just couldn't turn anyone away. So, so we kind of, we kind of haven't really stuck to the original plan, but the fortunate thing is we have gaps in the schedule. We have teachers that are, being paid to teach that have openings. So it's like, what's the difference if they're, sitting there, looking for something to do for a half hour or teaching a free lesson, right? So,
completely.
And then we built off that first Christmas that the program was launched. We decided to do a day of giving, where we go into local schools and surprise them with some musical instruments for their classrooms, along with some children from from the Music Gives program with some new instruments for home use. And that's been an annual thing since that first year, which has been great. So, we donated, again, probably a little over $10,000 worth of musical instruments each year. And we've been fortunate to have had a lot of support from an organization like Mars Homes, who's a home builder out in the Stony Creek area, and through Canadian country musician Tim Hicks has donated into the money into the program in the past as well, and has showed his support by coming out with us. And the city of St. Catharines, the golf tournament, and there's quite a lengthy list. So there's a lot of people for sure that have seen what the program has done over the years and want to be a part of it, which is amazing. Very, very sad this year that we're unable to host our annual fundraiser over at Bologna Park. So not too sure what how much involvement we're going to have from many of these contributors this year, with how crazy everything is and the effect that it's had on the respective businesses and stuff. But we're hopeful that we'll still be able to find a way to do our thing in December, for example, and go out to the schools, even if it's on a little bit more of a limited fashion kind of thing, right? So yeah, very excited about the program and very, very thankful and grateful for everybody that's been involved. Danny came out with us the one year to a number of the schools and performed, and was just just magical up there and inspiring for the kids, doing his thing. It's just a great program, and it's something that I'm very proud to be a part of, and to continuing to grow. We have close to 40 kids that are benefiting from lessons year round, thanks to the program, which is pretty amazing. So,
man, I love that. We love that. It's incredible, and we are running out of time, and we don't want to just cut off and leave you. If it's cool, we're going to leave links for people to find you down below when this goes live. But thank you so much, Greg, for joining us. Really, really, really love and appreciate it.
You're fantastic.
Yes, thank you. Yes, thank you very much. Continue to stay safe. Look forward to seeing you guys and giving you big hugs. Hopefully sooner than later.
Yes, high fives. No. Virtual high fives. Virtual high fives. Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
All right. See you, man. Take care. Bye. See you. Hi.
Bye. Mal and Danny here.
And if you just liked what you saw, please don't hesitate to subscribe to the YouTube channel and follow the links below to keep up with us and know what's going on. And please don't hesitate to comment and let us know your thoughts.
And if you know anybody that you think might want to join us for an interview, please feel free to reach out and let us know.
Goodbye. Bye.